Right, so we come now to the very last of the really big concepts that we're going to cover on this course, namely databases in this this particular tutorial. Obviously, in the rest of the course, we're going into much greater detail about how databases are used in web scripting. This is just to basically introduce you to it. Now, we're going to be using a tool called the Grid View Control, which is a built-in control given by Microsoft, which helps you visualize the contents of tables of databases extremely easily and quickly. Okay. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. I'm just going to follow the practical as it is be given to you in on the text. But then I'm going to show you also a visual way of doing it, which just shows you how phenomenally powerful some of the tools in Visual Studio are for database interaction. So let's start by well, I'm just going to use a page default.aspx, and essentially I'm going to bring a grid view in just by dragging it. I mean, if you click on the toolbox and you go down to the data section, you come across grid view. You can actually put your grid view in your page by just dragging it in. Okay, and what that will do then is create a whole system of things that you can set. We can actually do it straight through the interface to actually connect to a database, but that is a little bit making it too easy at this stage. So I want you to understand a bit about the background of how a database works. Okay, so that is essentially the grid view object being put on the page. Okay, I'll show you what it looks like now it has been put on the page. ASP grid view grid ID equals grid view 1. If I go into the tutorial, let me just check what the grid view is. It's called grid view 1 in the tutorial as well. Okay, and the only really significant thing is it's given a caption: top 10 UK downloads. Okay, so what I need to do is in Visual Studio, in grid view, I can well, let me just go into the design view, right click on it, choose properties, and in the caption I will say top 10 UK downloads. Okay. Now then, this grid view obviously needs to connect to a database in order to display the data in it. Now the data you can get from the tutorial. If you go to the bottom of the tutorial, which you get the download the files in zip format. So if you click on that, that should bring up WinZip or WinRAR, and inside it should have the database that you will need to use. So say, for example, I've got download CD. Okay, if you go into Visual Studio and you let's close down the properties thing and right click on web application at the very top, if you like, your project icon at the top, and choose open folder in Windows Explorer. That should bring up the folder that you're working in, and what you can then do is drag your database, the database from the zip file, into that folder. Okay, so there it is. Look, in my folder now I've put downloads.accdb. Okay, so that's very helpful and useful. Let's put that down now, and so we know that the database is in the same directory as the web application. So now let's kind of go through the tutorial and let's add some of the code which will connect the tutorial to the connect the page to the database. Okay, so here it is. First of all, we need to kind of have an import statement at the very top of the page, which will say that we are going to be using the data libraries inside of Visual Studio. So let me just close down this downloads window in Firefox. It's making it difficult for me to switch between the two. So now if I go into this page, into the source, okay, again I'll get rid of some of this auto wire up stuff in the top, just to make sure it realizes this is not a code behind based page. So I'm importing the namespace systemdata.oledb. That goes into the HTML or into the ASPX file. Okay, now let's go back into the browser, and what we're going to do now is ignore that thing about the script. Let's go into the page load. The page load script. This is the script which is going to do the kind of wiring of our database into the grid view. Okay, so I'm going to copy that I'm going to go into the text. I'm going to type in script run at equals server, and inside that script area I'm going to paste my page load. Okay, so page load, now you'll see this a lot as we go through the course. Dim obj connection, meaning I'm creating a connection object. That's the first thing you do whenever you do database programs. You have these steps you go through every time you make any kind of interaction with a database. You create a connection object, you then open the connection object, okay, then you specify a command, and then you run the command. That's when the actual really happens. Okay. And then, now here, this is an extremely important line, gridview1.databind. Databind is the action when having executed a command, gridview1, so therefore gridview1 data source equals object command execute reader, meaning the gridview1 will regard what it has to show as being the results of the command that you've just executed, and the command that you've just executed is a piece of SQL. Okay, select artist SOM ranking from table top 10 UK order by ranking. UK. There should be a space there, I believe. Order by ranking. So select artist song ranking from table top 10 UK order by ranking. That is an SQL statement which says, get me from the table top UK, for each record get me the artist, the song and the ranking, and then order it by the ranking. That is the, if you like, the meaning of an SQL command. So object command is a wrapper around an SQL command, and it takes a connection object, which was what we previously just established as a parameter. Once you've got that, then the data source this is now the grid views data source is associated with the results of that command. Okay. The data bind then means that the grid view will only show the consequences of that action, and following that is basically all the work. All the work is taking place there, and what follows here are just releasing memory that has been necessary in order to get those results into the grid view. Okay, those three functions don't really do anything except release memory and computer resources. Okay, so that is the code. Now let's see if that will work. So let's immediately start to play it. Okay, and what we should see hopefully is the kind of the page reading the data, showing it in the browser, if the browser suddenly appears, which it doesn't seem to be doing at this very moment. I don't know, it's getting a bit slow on my machine, I don't know why, but anyway, probably because it's the first time it's trying to read this table. Okay, so here finally it's come up, and there you see. Okay, so we've got all the data from the table. So as you see, it was a fairly simple process what we've just done there, but there are ways of doing it even easier. Another way of doing it, you could do exactly the same thing. Really, is I'll just create now. I'll just show you. Just for now, because I think it's important you understand what goes on behind, and that's why it's important for you to read that code. But I'll just show you just really how powerful some of the things in Visual Studio are for reading databases. So I'm just going to add another page, add new item, web form wide, it doesn't really matter. And this time I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to view the toolbox. I'm going to drag the grid view into the page like that, but now I'm going to do everything just via the interface. So I'm going to choose my data source, it clicks new data source. Now you would have thought that I should have chose Access Database at this point. Actually, you don't. You choose Database. Access Database is for the old .mdb files for kind of Access 2003. But if you're using Access 2007, choose Database. Okay, and it doesn't matter what name you give it as an ID. Okay, and this says what data connection should your application use to connect to the database. Click on New Connection. And then it just says, find database file name. So you click on Browse, okay, and there's oh god, that's from application 4. That's from another directory with using the same database, but I'm going to use it anyway. I'm going to click OK. Get rid of the word admin from the username. Then click Test Connection, and you see Test Connection succeeded. Okay, and then I click Next. Do I want to save the connection string? Not really, not at the moment. I'm just going to now say which columns do you want to show. I'm going to choose artist, song, and ranking. Okay, I'm going to choose Next. I'm going to test the query. That's what it looks. Okay, and as you see, this time I haven't though actually done any ordering. Okay, so I've just got access to do it all for me. But I haven't actually specified an order. But as you see, so therefore I've done no programming at all. Remember, I've done absolutely no programming. And now if I press play, what should happen is you'll see exactly the same thing as what I showed you before, but this time they won't be ordered. They'll be kind of in a random sort of order, or the order they were put in. Okay, they won't be ordered by ranking. So as you see there, that's that done. But I could also easily change that page in order to make it do the sorting by random. So by doing those kind of things on that previous page, what it does is it automatically creates the code for me. And there's, if you see, there's the SQL. It's used a kind of a very Access style notation whereby it puts square brackets around all of the field names. But I can also order by, and then I put square brackets around ranking. Ranking. Okay, and so from top order by ranking, and now I could, if I run that again, so now I've just had to make a tiny bit of programming, but if I now run that again, revform.1.aspx, I can show that, and this time it should be, I hope it should be ranked. Let's have a look. There it is ranked, and as you see, it's going from webform1.aspx. Okay, so that just shows you how powerful Visual Studio can be when it's dealing with databases.